So hello, I'm back again to talk about, American domestic politics. This is involved with the inner fighting within the Democratic Party, which again, these are conversations need to be had. It's time for change. We've been saying this for a while, and now people are taking action to change the party. There are people in the party that pretend to be progressives, and it turns out a lot of them are charlatans. Now, obviously, you get an idea of what I'm getting at here. A certain character or senator from, Pennsylvania, John Fetterman, who's been going on a tirade defending Israel and spending our taxpayer monies for war and saying the Democrats push back against Trump too hard, which is nonsense. So now he's joining Team MAGA. He might as well anyway. He hasn't officially. He's still in the Democratic Party. But I want to show you a clip about how he's threatening to leave the Democratic Party. Please do. You're giving us what we want. Because it's not like the Democratic base loves John Fetterman. Does he really think he has a serious shot if he runs for re-election in a Democratic primary? He's not going to make it. He's effectively probably going to do what Kyrsten Sinema did and maybe run as an independent or maybe join the other party, but not going to have a shot in heck and end up losing. Because grifters don't get very far in politics anymore. I mean, they have their good run, but eventually the voters catch on. And the idea that John Fetterman thinks he has leverage in this argument. So now he's saying effectively he's mad about the fact that Democrats stood hand in hand and voted against the NDA bill and are effectively holding Israel accountable. Okay. He, again, unapologetically supports Israel, so he's mad the Democratic Party's actually taken a stance, which was pushed by public opinion and the voting activist base of the Democratic Party. Okay, and again, this is only a short-lived victory. This may not last. So let's just take our wins as we go. Okay. The bottom line is... And again, like I said, it's just a short-term victory because let's keep in mind this bill was pretty extensive as far as involving Israeli intelligence into U.S. intelligence, which anybody with a common sense position would vote against that, even if you are personally pro-Israel, because you still want a separate sovereignty from the two different countries. So there are people that may support traditional alliances with the Israeli government, but even people with a middle ground stance on that is going to look at a bill like that and say, no, that is way too intrusive in our personal intelligence. So, yeah. Again, John Fetterman, though, apparently disagrees. He thinks that the Democrats voting against this one bill, which I will remind you, was Israeli intelligence merging with U.S. intelligence. Okay, I want you to keep that in mind. All right, and you need to keep an eye on any of the senators that supported this because they are effectively committing treason and selling out your personal data to a foreign government. Just keep that in mind. Well, John Fetterman apparently thinks the Democratic Party should have voted to do that, along with Republicans. Which, unfortunately, I'm ashamed to say, most Republicans voted for it. Okay, again, I don't know when bills of personal privacy or stuff about civil liberties or U.S. having its own independence from foreign intrusion somehow is a partisan issue now. Really? So now you have to be a Democrat to be on the right side of this issue? Even this issue, yet alone everything else, and all Republicans are going to side with what Israel wants? Think about that for a minute. Does that make any freaking sense? It does not. Okay, again, not everything has to be partisan. Even our U.S. intelligence is partisan. Like, come on. Our right to be an independent sovereign state from a foreign government is partisan now? Okay. Well, John Fetterman is threatening to leave the Democratic Party because he sees progressive insurgents in the Democratic Party denouncing funding money to Israel. Okay. And that somehow bothers John Fetterman. And all I have to say to that is good. We effectively want his ass out of the Democratic Party. I don't know who he thinks he's threatening. He has no leverage. He's not going to win re-election when he runs again in 2028. Okay. He's not on his A game anymore. All right. He will not win anyway. I don't know why he thinks he has leverage anywhere. 52% of Pennsylvania constituents overall does not want to re-elect John Fetterman. That's every voter in the state, effectively. He has no shot even in the general election. Don't get me started on the primary. Now, in the Democratic primary, he literally has a 19% approval rating. Ask me how he's going to win with a 19% approval rating among his own voters in his own party. 80% of Democrats disapprove of John Fetterman. And he's effectively going to try to run for re-election as a Democrat. And now that he knows he might not make it, he's threatening to run as a Republican. And I tell him, by all means, go ahead. We want him out of the Democratic Party. We don't care. We will push anybody out we do not want. We do not care. If they think they think they have leverage and they're going to threaten the rest of us, you know what I'm going to say? We're all going to say goodbye. Bye-bye. They'll let the door hit you on the ass on the way out. Because the thing is, these people, as far as I'm concerned, are a bunch of grifters. They're a bunch of sellouts. They need to vacate their seat if they feel like we are being too hard on Israel. You know what? I don't care. I'm glad you feel that way. Now leave the Democratic Party, please. We'll vote for somebody who's going to vote the way we want them to vote. Because if we have to put up with another day of MAGA destroying this government, and these people standing here screaming at the people that are reacting to common sense, then we don't want you representing us anymore as a Democratic official. Because right now we're fighting fascism. Our money's going to war criminals. And you guys want to keep giving our money away to it. And you're mad because we have the audacity to speak out and vote for people that want to take our money and put it back in our in our pockets, back in our communities. Are you freaking serious right now? Please, John Fetterman, I welcome you. Leave the Democratic Party. Goodbye. Goodbye, Felicia. For reals. Anyways, y'all, I will show you the clip in a second here in the next segment. Y'all have a great night, great day. Love y'all. Goodbye.